I've never seen so many celebrities attend a musical too. Did you have a crazy celebrity backstage?
Well, I mean, the stories are truly endless, but one of the ones that I like sticks out in my mind as like one of my favorites, just because I grew up watching him, was Jim Carrey.
Oh, yes.
I mean, when he came backstage after the show, I went up to him and I have no idea what I said to him. I just
Yeah.
completely like blacked out. I have no idea what I said to him, but I have a picture of him and I'm so like my smile couldn't be bigger. I'm just like full cheese mode, you know? So it's that one was really, really cool to me. But there were so many cool moments. I mean, the Obamas and, um, Beyonce and Jay-Z, and it's just, man, there were so many cool ones. Yeah.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Jess and the Guest. My guest today is Carleigh Bettiol. She stars in, a little indie show called Hamilton on Broadway and streaming on Disney Plus. She was one of the original cast members. I mean, we talk everything from dancing, singing, being Eliza on Hamilton. I mean, working with Lin-Manuel Miranda. She's incredible. You're going to love this episode. I read, or maybe I listened to a podcast or something you said something that you almost didn't go to the Hamilton audition. And I related to that so much. Like, how did you get through that?
My mom, honestly, like
Oh,
my mom and my sister are like my number one supporters and fans and the whole thing, and we're all very, very, very close.
oh,
And I just was feeling really, really nervous about the audition. I had never been on Broadway before.
yeah,
Actually, I wasn't sure when I was auditioning for this show that it was even going to Broadway
yeah.
because it was before it was even, discussed for us anyway. Um, and so I just knew though that with that team, with Lin-Manuel, with Andy Blankenbuehler, with Alex Lacamoire and Tommy Kail, I knew that it was going to be a lot of people that had a lot of Broadway credits at the audition. And I was just really nervous. And I was like, there's no way that they're going to choose me over all these other Broadway veterans, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm not gonna go, I'm not gonna go. And my mom was like, just try. Just go and try and see. You never know.
Yeah.
And, she kind of convinced me to just go and thank God. I think
Oh, just seeing those people in the room would be so nerve-wracking to me.
thanks. Yeah, auditions are so hard. I mean, and people say, the more you do them, the easier they are. And that's true in a sense, but I don't know, not really. I
Yeah.
mean, they are still just as hard. There's always somebody typically that's going to be better at singing or at dancing or at acting than you are. I mean, like there's
Yeah.
so many different things that you have to do in musical theater, and there's probably going to be somebody that's better than you at least one of those things, right? So, um, you're just kind of hard on yourself and you want to do well, and you get nervous because you care, and that's a good thing,
Yeah.
but nerves can ultimately kind of mess up an audition for you when you might have done well without nerves. So it's tricky. Some people are really great auditioners and other people are not. And that really doesn't have a ton to do with how they would be once they get on the contract. So it's hard. It's like taking a test in school. Like if you're not a good test taker, you're probably not going to do well, but maybe you're really, really smart. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's very similar in that way.
Listen to you too. And I think it was Dear Theodosia, and you were just incredible singer too. Like, how do you balance both?
Thank you. I mean, dance is definitely my first love. I started dancing when I was 4, but I started singing when I was, let's see, like taking singing lessons. I was probably 10,
Oh,
12, something like that.
yeah.
And just kind of stuck with it, all through grade school.
Yeah.
So, and I still even take singing lessons today because I still don't consider myself to be a singer first. I'm a dancer first. So, I think it's just something that, like with anything, you have to put in the time, you have to put in the work, you have to practice, and yeah, you have to study.
I can't even imagine making your Broadway debut in Hamilton.
I mean, it was just surreal. I mean, I remember the first time I stepped on the stage at the Richard Rodgers, and I was just so emotional because, first of all, I had seen shows at that theater before. I saw In the Heights there, and I saw Lynn, and I saw Chris Jackson and Mandy Gonzalez. Well, Mandy Gonzalez wasn't in Hamilton at the time with me when we first got to the theater, but I saw all these people in the Heights that are now doing Hamilton with me on that exact same stage, and it was just unbelievable to me, and I was kind of like overcome with emotion. I was, teary-eyed, and it was super super special stepping on the stage for the very first time, the first day that we were in the theater.
Oh,
And then performing, you know we had done the show off Broadway for X amount of months before that. So previews anyway just kind of felt like we were doing another performance,
yeah,
even though we're in a different theater and we're actually on Broadway.
yeah,
And then they say like the opening night of the show is actually your Broadway debut, even though you have already done all these preview performances on Broadway leading up to it.
yeah.
Your actual debut is like opening night. So, I mean, and that night, because, that night is like all the celebrities are there and all the family and friends are there. And so the crowd was just super, super loud, and it was like a concert. It was amazing. It
That's
was
so
such a
cool.
cool feeling. And like all of us going through it together was like really, really cool.
Oh, I've never seen so many celebrities attend a musical too. Did you have a crazy celebrity backstage?
Well, I mean, the stories are truly endless, but one of the ones that I like sticks out in my mind as like one of my favorites, just because I grew up watching him, was Jim Carrey.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I when he came backstage after the show, I went up to him and I have no idea what I said to him. I just
Yeah.
completely like blacked out. I have no idea what I said to him, but I have a picture of him and I'm so like my smile couldn't be bigger. I'm just like full cheese mode. So it's that one was really, really cool to me. But there were so many cool moments. I mean, the Obamas and, um Beyonce and Jay-Z, and it's just, man, there were so many cool ones.
Not only are you performing then, and then you have to like just go hang out with the Obamas backstage. No big deal.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was amazing, and it was like that after every show.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of what we did. We were used to hanging out after the show, which is cool.
Because in between shows, I feel like I always saw you guys do like cool dance parties on like Instagram. And did you like do any pre-show rituals or in between show
So
rituals?
the dance parties that happened backstage, those were typically done at intermission,
Yeah.
uh, outside of Leslie Odom's dressing room.
Oh my god.
So like somebody, maybe it was Leslie, I don't remember who would play the music, and they would kind of like blast whatever music for the day, and
Yeah.
people would come, and there's like leading up to his dressing room, there's staircases like both ways, so there's a little landing. So
Yes.
people would kind of like stand all over the stairs and on the landing, and people would just like dance and have a good time. And that was how we kind of got into Act Two. Um, I was on the other side of the stage to start Act Two, so I always missed those dance parties, but I've seen the videos, I've
Yeah.
heard. Yeah, I mean, we had a great time. And then as far as pre-show rituals, I didn't really have any. I mean, we did do a circle up before every single show, before the top of the show, in the basement, and that included anybody that wanted to be a part of it that was down there. So cast, crew, musicians, anybody. And we would just kind of like all hold hands and close our eyes and bow our heads and just kind of say a little something to connect all of us and bring us together, and then we go do the show. And so I did that every show. I was part of that.
What I mean, the show is so physical. Like, not only are you dancing 2 hours, you're lifting people, chairs, tables. Like, how do you stay in shape for that?
I mean, so we had physical therapists that would come to the theater, and so they would come 3 days a week, I think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think it was 3 days a week, and I would usually go 2 days a week to see them because, a bunch of us had injuries that we were trying to just kind of work through and maintain so that we could get through the show. So we would have to go a couple times every week, to see these physical therapists that they would bring into the theater. And so, like I had a shoulder injury that I got off Broadway. When I was on Broadway, I had a couple different calf strains. A lot of the boys had shoulder injuries. because they had to like remake the costumes for all the lifts that they were doing. So it was we were kind of like the guinea pigs for a minute, but like, that's kind of what it is, when you're the first ones to do it, you're figuring everything out as you go. So yeah, we had a lot of injuries, but you just figure it out and you have amazing people taking care of you. And if you need to call out, you can call out. That's the great thing. We have an awesome team of swings that can cover us if we need to go out, or understudies or whatever. So
Yeah.
thank God for them. I don't know how they do it.
I
Because
know.
it's a lot to know.
What was it like? Because you understudied Eliza. I know you went on, and well, I want to talk about that too. But how was that too?
Understudying is always kind of nerve-wracking. I mean, I got really lucky understudying Pippa because she's just a dream human being. Like she's
Oh,
so kind, and so if I ever had a question about something, I felt very comfortable just going directly to her and saying, "Hey, where am I supposed to be for blah 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 blah?" And she'd just give me the information, and it was like easy breezy, no big deal.
yeah.
Um, it's not always like that, I will say. So she was kind of a dream to understudy. Yeah, and then we would have understudy rehearsals like every other week for
Oh,
like 4 hours, 4 hours a session. And you start by just kind of like learning the music, and then once you know all the music, they bring you onto the stage and they just walk you through like by yourself without anybody. They just say, okay, now you would enter over here, and then you kind of go to this part of the stage,
wow.
um, and that's kind of how you learn. And then you start to add people and get more people around you to get used to that. And it's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like when you found out you were going on? Like, were you? I would be really nervous. I'd be
I'm
like,
so nervous. So yeah, I found out like 3 weeks in advance because Pippa had something going on, some sort of event or something that she had to go to. I forget. But they were like, "You're gonna be on this day," and it was like 3 weeks from now, which is great, but also awful
yeah,
because you have 3 weeks and you know that you're gonna go on in 3 weeks, so you know that you have to be ready in 3 weeks, right? Which is the great part. The not so great part is the freaking out for 3 weeks because you're so nervous, right?
yeah.
So I it was like a mix of those two things, and I ended up going on, and for some reason I was able to sleep the night before
Oh
somehow.
my gosh, yeah.
And then the next morning I got up and I just felt like this like calm come over me, and I was like, okay. I think there's just something, you just kind of like go into a zone and you're like, well, we're doing this.
Yeah.
There's no turning back. We're doing it.
Oh,
So we just need to like get through it, like figure
yeah.
out how to do it and push through.
Oh, did your family get to come and see you do that too?
My mom came eventually. I didn't
Yeah.
tell anybody. Well, I didn't invite anybody for the
Yeah.
first couple shows because I wanted those for me. I needed those to like get my jitters out, and
Yeah.
and then eventually I was like, okay, mom, now you can come. Um,
Oh.
yeah, so she came. A couple of my friends came, so that was really special. Yeah, that's
Oh.
in there.
What was like your first impression of Lin-Manuel too?
Oh my gosh. So I met the whole team, those all those guys, because I did the national tour of In the Heights
Oh,
back in like 2012, I want to say. I think it was
oh,
2000.
awesome.
And so, or maybe it was 2011. I don't know. Um, so I met those guys then, and he's like the same Lynn that he is now. He's just like kind of super bubbly, and when he enters a room, you kind of like know he's there. He's just fun and kind and funny, and I have nothing but good things to say about Lynn.
Oh, was one piece of advice or one thing you learned just watching him, or I'm
One
sure you
thing,
learned a million things, but
um, I mean, what I think that, um, what I think that I admire so much about Lynn and like working with that team of guys is that they all kind of stay in their lane as far as like what they do, what they were hired to do, right? So Lynn created Hamilton, Lynn created In the Heights, right? But then he brings on these other guys that he trusts. Tommy Kail is the director,
yeah.
Andy Blankenbuehler choreographs. Alex Lacamoire does all the music arrangements, and conducts and everything. He's the music director. And Lynn will like step aside and let them kind of take over in their departments as they should. But I think that that's probably not as easy as somebody may think when it's your baby, like it's your creation, right?
Yeah.
So I always really admired that about Lynn, that he knew that those guys know what they're doing. They're really good at what they do, and you brought them in for a reason. So just let them do what they do. And I think he really respects them in that way, and vice versa. And it's just cool to watch how they all work so well together.
Yeah, I feel like that's so rare to find, or at least in any job I have. I was like, wow, that sounds amazing. I've never seen that.
Which is, I mean, another reason why they're hugely successful.
Yeah. Yeah. How was the Tonys too?
Best day of my life.
Oh, was it exhausting? Did you guys do a show that day?
We did a show that day, yes.
Oh my God.
It was exhausting, but it wasn't. There was so much adrenaline. I
Oh,
think I woke up at like 6 o'clock that morning or something. It was an early wake up call. We had to be at the theater super early in the morning.
mhm.
Then what you do, they provide you breakfast at the theater. You get into costumes and hair and makeup and all of it. And then they bus you over to whatever theater is doing the Tony Awards. So that year it was the Beacon Theater,
Oh, cool.
not Radio City. And so they bus you over there, and then you do a run through of the Tony Awards, like in the morning.
Oh my God.
They get it all on tape, and basically what that's for is just in case something were to go wrong in the evening show, or like somebody swears or something, they have like a backup tape that they can just kind of like throw in. Um, and so then after you're done with that, you go back to your theater. They provide lunch for you. You have a little break, and then you get back into costume and hair and makeup and everything again, and you do a matinee.
Yeah. My
And
God.
you take another break. They provide dinner. Then you get back into costume, hair, and makeup again. You go back over to the Beacon Theater to do the actual Tony Awards. And then after that, you get into your party outfit and you go to wherever your party is. And so ours that year was at Tavern on the Green.
Oh,
And, you
yeah.
know, Questlove is DJing. And I mean, our cast and crew and everybody was everywhere. There were celebrities everywhere. A bunch of other people from other Broadway shows all came to our party. And so it was like a huge Broadway party in the middle of Central Park, which was so, so cool. And I think I left at 5:30 in the morning. Like it was insane. And I could have stayed
Yeah.
way, like we were just having so much fun. So it was like a 24-hour day, but I could have kept right on going. It was a blast.
Yeah. That sounds like a dream day. Like that sounds so cool. And Questlove DJ. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Come on. It doesn't get better than
Yeah.
that.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I mean, how was the Disney Plus? I don't even, it was incredible to watch. Like, how was filming that too and everything?
I mean, filming it was kind of fast and furious. It was fun, but it was done quickly. So we did it over two shows with a live audience so that you
Oh,
could kind
wow.
of see the audience reaction on the
Yeah.
video. And then we came in 2 other days. Um, so we came in 2 other days besides the two live shows, and we shot those days as well so that they could kind of get the cameras up on the stage, get close-ups or whatever shots that they needed to get that they couldn't get with an audience in the theater, right?
Yeah.
And that was it. It was besides that, it was yeah, it was just fast and furious, and I think they did an incredible, incredible job with it because it just came out so beautifully. I
Yeah.
mean, it was just filmed so beautifully. So I was super impressed that they were able to get all of that in those couple of.
I would have thought it took months at least. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they had like amazing equipment that they brought in for it. But that's all like Tommy Kail and Andy Blankenbuehler and all those guys, just kind of like they know what they need to get. We're gonna get it and we're gonna move on.
It's amazing. God. I mean, the cast all seemed to get along so well. Did you guys get along from the beginning?
We were just kind of a family from the beginning. I can't think of any times really that anybody was kind of like, not getting along with each other like that. And our people, for the most part, like we had a lot of people that are like married with kids and things like that. So people would just kind of like come in, do their job, and go home,
Yeah.
or if they had an event, it was always fun, like that group of people, like we like to dance, we like to, have a cocktail after, and it was just always kind of fun. I loved it. It was so
Yeah. Oh. Was there a moment that you knew like it was time to move on? Like people always say they kind of felt like it was time, but did you have that moment?
I struggled with my decision on leaving for months.
Yeah.
Because people still say to me now, "Why did you leave? Why did you leave?" And um, when you're a creative person, you're always trying to forward yourself, right? Or trying to challenge yourself, continue to challenge yourself. And when you're in something for that long and you're doing it 8 times a week every single week,
Yeah.
not doing that. I mean, even if it's incredible and you're selling out and it's the hottest show on Broadway, like whatever. Um, so for me, after a lot of the original company started to leave, it started to feel like a different thing to me because I wasn't with my like
Yeah.
original family anymore. Even though everybody that came in as a replacement was awesome,
Yeah.
it just started to feel like something different, and I wanted to leave and have the memory of the original company, with me. So that's when I decided I was going to go, and I also wanted to try to continue to build my resume and work on something
Yeah.
new. Mm. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And your last night was with Anthony Ramos, right? Was
Yeah.
that oh yeah, how was that? Because I saw you guys do the curtain call together and it was I was like I was getting emotional and I wasn't even
Oh yeah, I mean, I was definitely a mess. He was hilarious as per usual. Like he's
yeah.
so funny, whipping that wig off of his head.
Yeah.
He's such a clown, and in the best way. I love him.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I was so glad to share that moment with him. He's a good friend of mine, and yeah, then we kind of had like a big party afterwards, and it was bittersweet,
Yeah.
like a special night. Yeah.
Yeah. And you were there when Vice President Pence came too. Like, how was that? Because
Sense. It was
yeah,
I mean, that's probably the best word. I won't go into that like too much, but it
yeah,
was definitely an intense night, and honestly, a little scary following, after it was all over, kind of.
yeah. How was? Do you have a favorite moment from Hamilton? I'm sure you've got a million. favorite-
I mean, definitely the Tonys was like one of my favorite days ever.
Yeah,
As far as doing the show every single night, I really enjoyed Wait for It just because, I mean, for multiple reasons. It was one of my first like significant breaks in the show, but
yeah,
I got to be all the way upstage, kind of in the dark, and I kind of could like lean against the set. So I was relaxing, but I was also there singing behind Leslie, and listening to him sing that song every single night. And he just sang that song so beautifully.
yeah. Oh,
So it was just kind of like a really chill, but like good feeling moment.
yeah,
So I really enjoyed that moment. And besides that, geez. I mean, I don't know. I can't pick like one favorite number, but we just had so much fun. We all would like laugh and make jokes on stage, like that were appropriate, not to like,
yeah.
stop, but nobody in the audience would have known that. But, just our little things.
Oh,
So it was special. It was always fun.
I think it really translated too. Like it's just such a joy to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, when you have a group of people that work together like that, like so well like that, and just have a good time, it does translate. You're so right.
yeah. And how are you staying creative now? Because I feel like the pandemic, it's been so hard for so many people. Like I'm stand up, so it's been hard to like without live shows doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been teaching a
Oh,
good bit.
awesome.
I actually just finished teaching a class right before I got on with you tonight. So I've been teaching a little bit, and also, just trying to do things for me, like
Yeah.
I try to sing every once in a while, although I live in a New York apartment and you can hear everybody do everything.
Yeah.
And every once in a while I'll like take a dance class. Like I'm supposed to be taking a dance class with a girlfriend tomorrow night,
Yeah.
just get into a studio and to like move around and move our bodies. So it's really just kind of like upkeep right
Yeah.
now. Um, yeah, and just supporting the arts and kind of putting it out there, where I can.
Yeah. Thank you for everything. I owe you so much. So thank you.
So welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, you're the best.